Who's going to do the talking part? Not yet.
May the flame we now kindle light the path back to our center, back to that place of belonging to what is true, what is deepest within, what knows us even before we know ourselves. And may our chalice remind us that we are held and welcomed whole without the need to hide a single piece or part of who we are.
Otto Lindenberg once wrote, "A good relationship has a pattern like a dance and is built on some of the same rules."
The partners do not need to hold on too tightly because they move confidently in the same pattern. There is no place here for the possessive clutch, the clinging arm, the heavy hand.
The dancers move to the same rhythm, creating a pattern together and being invisibly nourished by it.
Here at River Road, in this month when we have reflected together on belonging, we also reflect together today on the sacred spaces between us in the life we share as a community. The parts of our souls that we lift up to our neighbors and the aspects of ourselves that are in fact held in the silent sanctuary of our own hearts.
May we move together in a pattern that nourishes us all and makes place for us all this morning and in the years to come.
Knowing we are all welcome here, like for real, so welcome here. Those of you who have not been in this place for so long, and those of you who are grateful to have found this place after much searching. Those stumbling in the door wondering what this place might be and if these people could be your own. I want to invite you, as you choose, in any way that feels safe for you, to turn and greet your neighbor. You can do a handshake if you're okay. You can do a peace sign. Just greet.
Let me go run up there.
The hardest part of all, which is to call the people back together into some semblance of order. As I continue to blather over the holy chaos, can I just say what a gift it is that we're so glad to greet each other that not even my yammering can call us back together too fast. I first of all want to say a special welcome and greeting to the balcony people. It has been so long since I've seen a full balcony in this place. I love you, balcony people. This morning we reflect on our togetherness and the spaces between our togetherness, and we reflect on what it means always to welcome and to draw the circle of our welcome ever wider to include each and every one of us. To that end, our religious educators have our prophetic voices this morning.
Good morning. Yes. Okay. We all have times when we feel a sense of belonging, snuggled with our family, sitting around a campfire, listening to music here at River Road. And we all have times when we feel like we don't belong. Being a new kid, being left out of a game on the playground, having a disagreement with classmates that leaves us without friends, or being different from those around us in some way. As UUs, we want to learn how to keep our circles wide and open. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we keep trying to help everyone feel a sense of belonging. Here's a poem by Edwin Markham that talks about this. They drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle, and that took them in.
So we're going to do a little demonstration of how we draw the circle wider. This first block is going to represent just me and Laura. What would you like to add, Laura?
Let's add babies.
Awesome. I would like to add teenagers.
And how about all the other kids?
Good idea. And I'd like to add parents and people who aren't parents. I guess that's everybody.
everyone in our congregation,
all the LGBTQIA plus people,
all genders and no genders,
people we love,
and people we do not love.
and you know, it's really hard to remember all these things, so why don't we just include the whole world? When we get to the biggest one, we can see that it now includes all the others. We drew a circle and took them all in. By adding on, we include more and more people in the circle of love. We become something more impactful than by keeping to our small little selves in the middle there. Who might you add to your circle of love? Now we'd ask the children and youth to stay seated for just a little while we enjoy the choir.
And now, as our choir takes their seats, I also invite all the children, the youth, the religious education teachers who are now winded from clapping to head to their classes. What a gift it is to make a circle for each other. That makes room not just for each of us, but for the whole of us. We draw a circle that makes room not just for our joy or for our gratitude, but for our sorrow and our uncertainty, that which brings us both great faith and so much anxiety. We draw a circle for the whole of you. And today, I want to invite you at any point, as always, if you'd like to light a candle for that which is moving in the sanctuary of your heart, we have stations in the back and in the front. You can light a candle not just during one time in the service, but at any point when your heart is moved. And today, I have a few joys and concerns that I want to lift up for the whole community. First of all, I lift up a song of praise, really, for this place and for the people who made it and make it still what it is. On October 8th, we will have a memorial service here at River Road, a small, COVID-safe, as much as we can, memorial service for Jack Edmondson. For those of you who remember Jack's work and his devotion and his good spirit and his partnership is woven throughout the fabric of so much of our leadership over the course of half a century. And so for Jack, and for the people he made of us, and for this place held up by his love and goodwill. I also light a candle for Rosetta Winkler, who died at 98 years old just last week. Rosetta was remembered at a small memorial service by her close family right out there in the memorial garden last week. And when her family gathered, they gathered and told stories of the River Road Bazaar. Of the fact that Rosetta would go along and bid on things to bid them up because she was afraid no one else would, and that's how she got stuck with the bearskin rug she didn't frankly feel so good about. So for Jack and for Rosetta, for so many others, we carry the memories. And on this day and in this season, we also carry the potential of the future. La Shana Tova on this new year. As Rosh Hashanah circles once again into our lives, promising a beckoning future with new challenges and new beginnings. May we rise to greet it all. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, people at home. I'm going to be sharing a meditation today that I do with my students in my peace classes. And to start, I'm just going to ask you to get into your mindful bodies. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or you can just look down into your lap. And let's just take 3 deep breaths together. Just breathing in and out and in and out and in and out. I'd like to ask you to think about somebody in our congregational community. It can be somebody that you know really well, someone that you hardly know, someone that you've just seen from afar. Just pick somebody and try to hold that person in your heart and your mind while we do this meditation. I'll be saying some words out loud, and if you want to, you can think these thoughts in your mind, focusing on that person. This person wants to be happy, just like me. This person feels sad sometimes, just like me. This person makes mistakes sometimes, just like me. This person is doing their best, just like me. This person deserves kindness, just like me. This person belongs here, just like me. So now just take a moment to notice what it feels like to think about that person and yourself in that way. Any way that you feel is fine. Now let's just take one more deep breath together, all together as a community. Just breathing in and breathing out. Now we're going to listen as Cliff rings the bell, and try to listen to the whole sound of the bell. And then when you can't hear it anymore, just open your eyes or look up and look around. Thank you for trying that with me.
Each month at River Road, we extend our offering to a community organization whose mission and values build and strengthen this beloved community of which we are part. For this month of September, we are extending our offering to the College Access Fund. Now, this is a long-standing partnership here at River Road, built and maintained by so many among us. And you might have tuned in last night for our annual College Access fundraiser, in which not only did we get to be serenaded by the lovely Leah Morris, but we also got to learn about the work of our partners at College Bound. This morning, we want to share some of this work that this community organization does each time. We'll hear from our partners at College Bound and even some of the people whose lives have been touched.
Greetings, River Road Unitarian Universalistic Congregation. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to greet you. I'm Kenneth Ward, the Executive Director of College Bound. For over a decade, I've had the opportunity to serve in this capacity and to partner with amazing folks like River Road. The work that we do in changing the trajectory for local public school students would be impossible without your support. Through the amazing work that you do, we've been able to impact young people like Corwin Ward. Corwin matriculated and graduated from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and while there, he learned how to play rugby. Corwin paid it forward and taught local kids in Greensboro how to play rugby. May seem insignificant to you, but for a young man growing up in Ward 8 to go to Greensboro to play rugby, to then teach kids in Greensboro, in the inner city, to play rugby, I think it's pretty phenomenal. Corwin's out now designing jet engines. This is in part because of your support. We also support amazing young people like Talinga Patton Bullock, who's in her 3rd year at Oglethorpe University in Atlanta, Georgia. She's doing amazing things and will continue to honor and represent the best of us. Over the course of the last decade, I've seen the work that you do. I've visited the concerts with Daryl and Seth and been transformed and educated. I'm thankful, truly thankful, to have a partner like the folk at River Road. So again, on behalf of the College Bound family, I bring you greetings, and I thank you from the depths of my soul for the work that you continue to do to help the kids of College Bound. You really understand that there's unity in community. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of our partners at College Bound and all of those at River Road who work so hard each year to make the College Access fundraiser happen. Thank you to Rita Parks. Thank you to so many in this congregation who have maintained and built this relationship and hold it and give us the opportunity to give each year. The beloved community is not some far off distant place, but it's among us right here and right now. And this is the work that we do that expands our community for each and every single one of us. Giving is plentiful and it is made easy here at River Road, especially these days, and there are so many ways to give. You've seen the slide to tell you the different ways that you can give to College Bound this morning. You can go online to our website, you can give there. You can text to give. You can even write a check. However, whenever and wherever you give, our collective generosity builds this beloved community, mind by mind and heart by heart. Please give this morning as you are willing and able.
Thank you, Reg. So, Howard Thurman, who I want to preach about today, was a man who provided a theological and intellectual framework for nonviolent activism when nonviolent activism wasn't even all that cool yet. You know how so many of us often look for the grown-up in the room to tell us how to frame our understandings, to tell us what the underlying meaning of our efforts are? Well, Howard Thurman was the grown-up in the room for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who helped him understand what it was to be a preacher. He was one of the few men that King reliably turned to for mentorship. He was, in many ways, the wellspring from which much of King's later theology would spring. And Howard Thurman was also a deeply quiet, reflective human being. He was a man who believed that at the heart of it all, and I mean it all of it, most especially the church, at the heart of it all the actions toward justice, the social responsibility, the transformation of government and institutions, the whole shebang of broken mid-century America, underneath it all was a call of the Spirit, first of all. See, Thurman believed that this call of the Spirit that preceded all the rest, including our activism and our efforts at a better world, he believed that this call of the Spirit, if heeded, could protect the faithful from the very worst of their own personal and collective impulses. And that the way forward toward a more just world, it did not start with the grand speeches and the policy debates in the halls of power. It did not start with the outwardly performed word or action. No, he said, the way to a transformed world, it started here, on what he understood to be an island of integrity, in an inward sea we carry with us in our souls. In 1952 at Boston University, Thurman rose to speak in front of a gathering of the world's future faith leaders, a group that included those who would shape American politics for a generation to come. And he stood before them, and he preached a sermon, not for the first or second or even 50th time in his life, about the necessity of an inner life. There is, he said, in every person, an inward sea. And in that sea there is an island. And on that island there is an altar. And that inward altar of the soul, he said, the place where blessings are lifted up, that altar of the soul is too important to be left unguarded against the forces of influence and corruption that would lay unholy things upon it and call them sacred. It is too important that you protect the inward altar of your soul. He said, we cannot be left to pile on that inward altar where the sacred things are meant to go, all the false promises and fake blessings and the lies that powerful people tell us in order to make themselves more powerful. No. He said, your inner altar and yours and mine, your inner altar needs protecting. It needs safeguarding because all else, including the well-being of the entire nation and the world besides, depends upon the integrity of your inner altar. And so in his sermon, he spoke of a metaphorical angel, no less, who stands before your inward altar and guards it with a sword of flame and with power. In his words, nothing can get past that angel to be placed upon your inner altar unless it has the mark of your inner authority upon its brow, unless it be part of the fluid area of your consent, arising ultimately from the center of your consent. And what becomes the center of your consent, that is your connecting link with the eternal. What becomes the center of your consent becomes your enduring link with what is holy. What bears the mark of your deepest inward authority, guarded by no less a personage than an angel with a flaming sword. What bears the mark of your inward authority, what your deepest conviction deems to be true and worthy of placing in the place of sacred things, that and only that is where you meet God. It's in that place where you find out what truly is eternal. When you know what is actually sacred in a way that can only be perceived in an inward space, that can only be blessed by no less an authority than your own soul, you carry an inner authority which must be protected at all costs against all comers by an angel with a flaming sword, or by a robust spiritual practice that continually draws you back again and again to your values, or by a very best friend who calls you out on your own crap when you veer too far away from what you say you believe. Any way you slice it, it has to be protected in some way, by someone. Because for God's sake, whether you believe in that God or not, everything is at stake when we allow unholy things to be lifted up in the place of the sacred in our hearts, and by extension in our communities, and in our politics, and in our world. Those of you who know me well may know that I worry a lot about idolatry, more than a normal, functional human being actually should, truth be told. You might not know what idolatry is, or it's just a big, weird, scary religious word, so let me have a crack at it first. In the Hebrew, and later in the Christian and in the Islamic traditions, idolatry has sometimes been defined as worshiping images of God instead of God's own self. You know, the whole thing with the golden calf and all that, which I suspect was much more complicated than the Sunday school teachers ever tried to tell you it was. Anyway, the idea, it comes down across thousands of years of religious history, and it tells us that if you build up something that isn't really holy and call it something, if you build up something that isn't righteous and you call it righteous, you can attach all the tools and trappings and deep emotional fervor that's supposed to apply to the sacred to that thing. And you can point those tools of the sacred at that unholy thing. Not only does it result that God is generally quite righteously offended in such times, but honestly, the whole structure of society starts to break down. You can burn incense at the temple of national identity, for instance. You can wave palm fronds at a leader who makes you feel like you are part of something larger than yourself. You can bow down and lie and cheat and scrape for an ideology that makes you feel like you are that much better off than someone else who is not in your club. You could pretend, let's say, that a document written almost 250 years ago, say purely hypothetically, a document written at a constitutional convention and signed in 1787 bears the imprimatur of an unchanging sacred text that can only be interpreted by men of the same socioeconomic background as the universal company of men who wrote it. Hypothetically speaking. I'm just saying. I worry about idolatry a lot. And here at the 10-year mark of my ministry here with you, I want to confess that we are not innocent of idolatry. In our ministry here together, we have encountered it, slipped in and out of it, and I cannot shake the awareness that over the course of these 10 years, since 2012, that we have spent together, laughing and crying our way through it all, those 10 years have been smack dab in the middle of a dangerously idolatrous age. An age when our very own feelings as citizens of this nation and the world, our very deepest and most earnest needs to belong, to know ourselves a part of something larger than ourselves, those very deepest needs have been weaponized in profoundly dangerous, even deadly ways. Over and over again, I have ministered to you in a profoundly idolatrous age. You know, perhaps, the famous quote from Maya Angelou, who tells us, "I have learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." You know that piece, I bet. You could cross-stitch it on a pillow. You could get it screen printed on a t-shirt, and Reverend Amanda and I would probably buy it. Like, that would happen. In this era, I know it is a statement that is true, and it is a comfort to me, because I operate in this pulpit in a feeling space. Do I not? But the trouble is, when you think about it, when you really think about it, that cozy seeming dictum that people will never forget how you make them feel, it can also be profoundly unsettling in an idolatrous age. When people feel the fervor of the holy, directed at the idea of their own exceptionalism, directed at the idea of white nationalism, directed at the idea of our own innocence, directed at the idea of political or partisan affiliation that is only strong enough to propel powerful people to more power if it is also strong enough to make us hate everybody on the other side. I know how these years in this idolatrous age have made me feel. It's not innocent. Maya Angelou is right. I will not forget how this era has made me feel. Will you? The torches burning in the night in Charlottesville, the thousands and thousands of people chanting in unison, "Lock her up," which morphed as if it were one continually chanted hymn to an idolatry of power into "String him up" on the steps of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, not so long ago. Unholy things lifted up and placed on the deepest, most sacred altar of people's souls, using the tools of religious fervor, the tools of belonging, the tools of emotion, the tool of the deep need to connect toward idolatrous ends. Politics as religion and religion as politics, and the whole lot of it propelled by powerful speakers in powerful places, making incursion after incursion on the sacred altar of your own integrity, moving the center of people's consent bit by bit until the altar of the nation's soul stood unguarded and at risk. I will not forget how that made me feel. Will you? And here's the irony of it, and the deep gut check that I want to share with you on this. Indeed, I don't always feel innocent of the idolatry of this age. Not even now, on this beautiful Sunday, which stands as a marker of 10 years behind this pulpit with you, leading and learning by your sides. After this decade together, I thought it might be time for a moment of confession, and so I came up with 4 things about me that you should probably know if you don't have them figured out already. 4 things that put, I think, a healthy tension into this whole thing that we're doing together as we build belonging and work to serve the world. Here are some facts that it's probably just good to know. 1, I have always been highly dubious of a declarative statement. 2, I look with some self-protective concern upon people who seem to be absolutely certain in a final and complete sense of what it is they believe, especially when such certitude comes with an argument for how they are innocent. 3, I agree with George Saunders that every human position has a problem within it. Believed in too much, it slides into error. It is not that no position is correct. It is that no position is fully correct for long. As he puts it, we are perpetually slipping in and out of absolute virtue and failing to notice. And 4, and perhaps most importantly, I am a preacher, working inside a format that lends itself to declarative statements. the brazen performance of moral certitude, and the regular distillation of complex ideas into emotionally compelling sound bites. These combined forces place something of a challenge on my heart, not just occasionally, but all the time. And yet for 10 years, you have invited me to rise in this place with all those tensions and contradictions, and to keep speaking. I am perhaps exceedingly aware of both the trust and the responsibility that come with such an invitation. And I thank you truly, with the knowledge that in this place, from this pulpit, we do not play each other like instruments, but treat each other like real human beings. And it is this fundamental, nuanced, imperfect humanity we share, and that includes me, a nuanced, imperfect humanity, not just of the people, but of the preacher, that saves this entire endeavor of Sunday morning preachifying from its own obnoxiousness and its even dangerous self-seriousness. Those are things you should know about me, I think. I want you to trust me, but not trust me too much. I want the pulpit to have emotional power, but not such that it makes incursions upon the altar of your soul. I want our lives together to make some real moral claims about what this world asks of us. And yet, I want each of us to retain our spiritual integrity, to dig deep and gut check it all moment by moment as we go along, so that where we go together, we go within the fluid center of your consent, as Howard Thurman put it. Basically, I want us to stumble through together, searchers alike, discovering and failing as we go, and retaining some measure of actual humility along the way. I think it is because we are whole and imperfect beings that this place is emotionally safe enough to belong to at all. It is because I am not always right that it is safe enough to keep standing me up here on Sunday morning. It is because what we say on Sunday morning is most often something other than a declarative truth, something closer to an exploration of a deeper story, that my suspicious self can bear the risk and wonder of gathering together to do semi-impossible things like help the world or deepen our spirituality. In some ways, we save each other from the greatest risks of an idolatrous age by being cats, somewhat difficult to herd. By holding the tension that comes with belonging and yet remaining distinct. And that is the work of being a congregation. Maybe it's the work that the world at large so desperately needs some viable models for. Do you know that Howard Thurman himself, along with the great Alfred Fisk, he founded the very first interracial, interdenominational church in the United States? My guy, who preached for all the world over and over again that the most essential relationship is not to an institution, but to the holy, that most essential relationship is to be found only upon an island in the middle of your own sacred sea, that guy, that same guy, he founded a church, and he did church stuff. And he built up a sense of belonging in that church and among its people, because his life and his world depended on that, too. He built up a collective identity that made room for the individual spirit and cultivated a deep relationship with an inward life. He did big feelings on Sunday morning. He did bigger declarations about the injustices of the public sphere. And he did it while constantly reminding his readers and his congregants never to take his word for it alone. They did the work because they were all equipped together to go into the inner places and check each idolatrous performance the world would throw at them against the values they themselves placed on the altars of their spirits. Now, I am suspicious of people like me. I am suspicious of declarative statements, of those who make them. I am suspicious of the power of pulpits and of podiums to be wielded to idolatrous ends. I am suspicious as hell of performative certainty and the ways it is mistaken for power. But I keep doing this because I am not suspicious of you. and I am not suspicious of our deep shared yearning to belong, nor of the endeavor that we share to build a community that connects us and compels us toward action and protects us, so that each of us within that inward sea might know, even if only in flashes, if only in fits and starts, the deepest inner link to that which we know to be most sacred.
And I have to turn on my mic so that any of you can hear me, which I do often. What we do together is a reflection of how we wish to be together. And there are always so many ways to be involved here at River Road. Don't forget to check your e-weekly for all of the opportunities to get involved, to plug into community, to volunteer, to be of service and in service here. A few things I want to highlight is, of course, our year of climate reset brought to us by the Earth Ministry team. Last week and the week before, we shared 3 easy actions that your household can start on now as we do our year of reset. And at this point, we have 58 households who have participated. There is still time to get in on this and participate. If you want to learn more, just check in with the Earth Ministry team, and you can also read their blog. Also, we are doing a lot of board visioning work, and a part of that work are some faith formation conversations. These faith formation conversations will focus on what it means here to dig into our spiritual development, into our religious education, and what we need as a people to explore. We'll be holding informal conversation sessions after the service throughout the month of October, October 2nd, October 9th, October 23rd, and November 6th. There'll be more information on these sessions as times come, but these information sessions will be led by myself, by Beth Irakura, and Laura, so we can look at what we like to do here in our faith formation programming at River Road. Of course, on October 15th from 6 to 8 p.m., we have our Partnered Fest. This is another annual festival that highlights the work that we do. This will be at 6 o'clock p.m., and it will feature a special performance from Dr. Shuai Wang over here. We'll have hors d'oeuvres, we'll have wine. It'll be a lovely time. Stay tuned for more information. Also, on October 16th, we'll be doing our Social Justice Fair. This fair will take place right outside in the plaza during coffee hour. It'll be a time to connect to all the work that we are doing here at River Road in social justice in this community and beyond. Please come to show our leaders some support and to learn how you might be involved. Of course, so much goes into making the Sunday service happen. So much that we don't see and so much that we do see. So this is the time of our service where we want to show some gratitude to those who have made it possible. Of course, we have our tech crew who not only makes this morning happen, but made last night happen as well with the College Access fundraiser. That is a ton of work that they have put in this weekend to make this beloved community come to life here at River Road. We also want to give a very warm thank you to Reg Jackson for sharing your lovely music with us this morning. And of course, Linda Ryden for sharing that meditation with us. It is such a village, it is such a community effort. But this morning, this time of 10 years gone by, we know 4 more things about you after your sermon. But one thing you need to know about us is how much of a blessing it is to have you as our minister. It's not easy to lead a community. It's not always easy to do it with grace, but you show up for us, you have our back, and we are so honored to be a part of the community that you have helped each of us build. So although we'll be celebrating you later on, plenty of opportunities to embarrass you with kind words, this morning during the service, during this time of worship and gathering that you have helped create and hone for so many years, we wanted to take this time to honor you this morning. Thank you so much for your gifts, and this is a token of that appreciation. Thank you. Benediction.
It's extra meaningful to get some roses from my work wife, Amanda. Thank you.
I have a confession. Marcia knew I'd forget the flowers. Those are actually from Marcia.
Thanks, Marcia. Isn't that also how family works? And so, may the truth that makes us free, the love that casts out fear, and the hope that never dies guide us and those we love and those we do not love forward together till the day spring breaks and the shadows flee away. Our service is ended. Amen.
start the celebration at 11:30.